What do you get when you team up one of the most beloved movie franchises, one of the most accomplished game developers, and one of the best gaming consoles of all time? The answer is nothing. So let's relax and take a look back at the Lost Aliens game on the Famicom. In 1987, game developer Square decided to tackle the task of creating a game based off the successful second movie in the Alien franchise, Aliens, released the year prior. The game was being developed in Japan for the Famicom Disk System, along with the MSX. Takashi Tokita, who later went on to direct Chrono Trigger and Parasite Eve, he even wrote that game. The entire story was charged with designing the graphics of Aliens. At 20 years old, this was his first game in Square and a big opportunity for him. At the time of development, he hadn't even seen the movie, so he had to go and watch it. Developers had been working extremely hard on the game, and it was well into development before it was finally decided to be canceled. Takashi states that when it was canceled, it was somewhere in between the beta and the alpha stage builds. In other words, it was getting really close to being finished, but still not quite there. While the game does have a beginning and an end, it's quite short, so it's not known if more stages were planned to be put in at a later date. So why was this game that was getting so close to completion and based off such a huge, epic movie scrapped? Takashi explains that the quality of the game was just not what they had hoped for. Unfortunately, the person in charge of programming just didn't have the skills to pull it off. Everything from controls to the way the alien queen moves, it's just off. It's like she's on drugs or has a lobotomy. The mechanics of the jumping of your character, it's just not good. The controls make the game very frustrating very quickly. The gameplay itself is pretty basic. You run with bad run animation, and you shoot all the aliens and chest busters and eggs you see. You can upgrade your weapons and your jumping ability. It's kind of non-linear, as you can go through various doors to reach your end goal. The graphics of the game are a bit hit and miss. Some of the environments look a little bland and ugly, while character sprites such as the massive alien queen look phenomenal. Takashi was giving high-quality alien model kits for reference while creating them, and you can tell that a lot of care was put into the alien queen itself. Probably the best part of the entire game. Simply put, the game just did not pass quality control, and Square did not want to release a subpar product, and it remains unfinished.
So as a kid, I was always obsessed with the Alien movies, especially the second one because it was just so full of action, blasting aliens. It was so cool. And my mother would never let me watch it unless it was the edited TV version, but regardless, I was still obsessed with it. It always struck me odd that there was no Nintendo game based on the Aliens movie. It just didn't make sense to me. Hell, we had games based on Gilligan's Island. We had games based on the Three Stooges. I'm surprised we didn't have a game based on the Golden Girls. That would have been awesome. Okay, bad example. Regardless, Aliens. Why did we not have a Nintendo game based off of Aliens? It was just odd.
Now, while the game was being developed for the Famicom Disk System, it stands to reason it would have eventually been developed for the NES as well, obviously scaled back slightly to fit on the NES hardware. And also knowing Nintendo of America, they would have had them omit a few things, like the semi-graphic chest-bursting sprite animations. Now, a version of this game did eventually see the light of day on the MSX system in Japan. But we don't talk about the MSX system on this channel. I mean, it's just a made-up system. It doesn't really exist. This Famicom version, though, had been considered lost until a collector named Yuki found the game inside of a Famicom disk system that he obtained. And then proving once again that not all heroes wear capes, he did the right thing and dumped the ROM on the internet for all to enjoy, and for good old game preservation. Us gamers in the US, we eventually got our Alien game in 1993 from LJN, based off the movie Alien 3, and it was rather disappointing. It was actually very disappointing. Not a good game at all. The simple idea of the movie Aliens and the Nintendo seemed like a match made in heaven, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Looking back, we kind of did get an Aliens game on the NES. It was called Contra. Now granted, it was mainly just the last stage, which I never saw as a kid, so I didn't know the comparison. But It's clearly inspired by Aliens. One might even say ripped off. It's got face huggers. It's got what looks like eggs. Well, no, it is eggs. I mean, granted, there's no queen in it, but this is clearly inspired by Aliens. So, if you play the last stage 8 of Contra, you're essentially playing an Aliens game on the NES.
With all the movie-based games on the NES that ended up being less than stellar, like Predator, Back to the Future, Total Recall, I could go on for a very long time on this list. Many, many more. Perhaps we can look back at Aliens as simply being spared from being butchered on the system. However, with Square being involved as the developer of the game, it at least had a chance to be great. And while very unpolished and unfinished, it did have potential. And with a better programmer and maybe a few more months of seasoning, who knows, it could have been great. It could have had a place with some of the other classic games that we continue to enjoy to this day. Or maybe not. We'll never know. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We have more videos coming. Game Chasers on the way, Toy Chasers on the way, more videos like this. Tell me in the comment section below, do you think this game would have been good if it was finished? Have you played it? It's trash. What do you think? And once again, thank you for watching.